Hi everybody and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from the Chinese brand Kaco. I've recently done videos on the Kaco Retro, which I loved, and the Kaco Edge, which I didn't really love. So when this pen came along, which is the Kaco Balance, I had to have a look at it. So here it is. Here's the box it comes in. So it's in a plain cardboard sleeve, and then this lovely sort of I don't know what really the material is, but it's sort of a softy sort of cardboard box with Kaco and their logo written on the top, magnetic closure and all of that. And it opens up and reveals the pen and a couple of packets of cartridges. You also get a converter, which is currently in the pen, and then the converter, the pen, in a little plastic sleeve, and some information down there below. It says they're born for excellence, which is also engraved on the band of the pen. But let's have a look at the pen. So, yeah, Chinese brand Kaco have a range of sort of lower end pens and have started to produce a couple of higher end pens, including the Master, which is a gold nibbed pen, which I'm hopefully going to be reviewing in the near future. I was very luckily sent this pen by a viewer who wanted me to have a look at it. So here it is. It's a new pen. I think it's only come out in the last sort of couple of months. And I think it's really nice. It's a metal pen, it's sort of a brushed steel, and you've got two tones of, it comes in a number of colours. This is, I think, is the grey. It's sort of got a greeny grey sort of colour to it, and then these sort of steel and chrome accents. The centre band there saying Kaco, born for excellence. It's got plain sort of chrome finial end cap, and yeah, it's fine. It's a clicks to cap. It's got quite a strong click on it, which is nice, and the clip is spring loaded, which is also quite nice. It's got a small metal chrome section. Now this is a small section, and it's going to be problematic for a few people because it is slippery as well, and it tapers so sharply down towards the nib there, and it's a small nib, so it does sort of feel quite small in the hand. But as the title of the pen suggests, the balance, it does feel nice in the hand, and there's a good sort of weight to it when it sits, in your fingers. So it's a cartridge converter pen, as I said. It came with a converter, which looks like a basic Schmidt K1, the basic version, and as I said, a couple of boxes of cartridges as well, which is quite nice. This particular nib is a fine, as you can maybe see there. It just says it's got the Kaco logo on it, and then just says Germany. So I'm wondering if it's a Schmidt or something like that. I know a few Chinese brands are using Schmidt, and it's got a plain plastic feed, as you can see there. Okay, so it's a perfectly fine pen. It's a smaller pen, but it's got nice sort of brushed texture to it, nice sort of clip. Design-wise, it's reminiscent of, I think, to a degree, elements of things like the Lamy 2000 as well, same as the Edge is reminiscent of that. Also the Lamy, I think it's the Lamy 80, which is an older pen, which has a similar sort of cap band system around the middle there. But they have a distinct sort of nib, and this has a fairly sort of standard nib, as you can see there. Okay, so let's do a few sort of size things. So in terms of the dimensions of this pen, it's 139 millimeters when it is capped. It's 120 when it's uncapped. So it's on the smaller side, but you can easily use that pen, sort of unposted. Posted, it's 148, and it posts really well and actually feels really nice in the hand when it's posted. The weighting of the pen actually is very balanced, and the weight of the cap does give a little bit of extra body to the pen. The section at the center there is 9 millimeters, so it is a small section, and it does taper quite substantially. The weight of the pen is 30 grams. 11 of that is in the cap, 19 in the body. So yeah, the balance of this pen, actually pretty good, really, if we're being honest. So yeah, I think probably the best thing to do now is to do a writing. Oh, hang on, just show a couple of, in comparison to a couple of other pens. Of course, the obligatory Lamy Safari and the TWSBI Eco. So if you're familiar with either of these pens, you should be able to get an idea as to the sort of size of this pen. It's not a tiny pen, but I think because that section is so small and once it's uncapped it is on the shorter side, it does feel like a smaller pen. It feels reminiscent of, say, the Pilot Metropolitan in a few ways, I suppose. Okay, so yeah, let's do a writing sample, and then we'll come back and we'll do a couple of other little bits of information. So here I have some rhodia paper. As I said, this pen is a snap cap and it snaps and posts quite securely. And let's see what we've got here. So we've got the Kaco Balance. As I said, this is a metal body pen, so it's got a nice sort of feel and weight in the hand, but that section is very small and quite slippery. The ink I have in here is Robert Oster, River of Fire. And this has a steel fine. Oh, I'll try that again. Fine nib. Okay, so you can see this pen writes very smoothly. I'll just do a quick another writing sample. Very smooth. Quick writing. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Writing's totally legible, but it is very clear that the pen is keeping up with the feed. There's not really any issues with the writing of this pen. You know, it keeps up, it's smooth, it's quite wet. Really, like, you know, it lays down a beautiful, smooth, you know, patch of ink, and it's quite nice. We'll just do some reverse writing just to check that out for everybody. And actually, that is one of the best reverse writing pens I've written with in a long time. Takes it down to probably an extra fine, but it's very smooth, and it certainly, you know, would allow you to put down a few words. In terms of line variation, you can see that you can put down a little bit more ink, but it's really all you're doing is it's digging into the paper quite hard there. It's not really separating the tines. Like for proper flex, the tines should open up. This is just sort of laying down more ink, if you will. Just do a quick right-handed writing sample for those of you the majority of you who aren't left-handed, sorry. So it's a Kaco Balance. Yeah, once again, you know, it's smooth, it writes beautifully under its own weight. This pen, you know, absolutely keeps up. This is a really lovely pen to write with. So they're doing a lot of things that are really right with this pen. It's got great packaging, it's a nice looking pen, it's slightly understated, you know, it's a nice little product. So let's talk a few other things. Firstly, let's just talk price, okay? So the best place I found to buy this pen was eBay. And that's fine. I buy pens on eBay a lot. On eBay, this pen retails for, in Australia, around 60 Australian dollars, which puts it up above the price of the Safari and the Eco. Certainly above double the price almost of the Pilot Metropolitan. Now, that is okay if the pen has something to stand out above those. And I think the build quality of this pen is great. The materials of this pen are great, but so they are of the other pens as well. So I think Kaco are releasing a few pens now that are pushing the price up. A lot of the pen brands from China are becoming more and more expensive. Look at some of the pens from Moonman, selling up over $100 now in Australia. Pen BBS, the prices are skyrocketing. So the market is changing and the price point is changing for Chinese pens. Brands like Wingsung and Jinhao are going to maintain their sort of price point for their little plastic pens and a lot of the things that they produce, and that's wonderful. But there is a realm of Chinese pen now that is becoming more and more apparent on the market that is priced at a higher price point. And do we get the value of that in this pen? Well, I'm not entirely sure. If I'd bought this pen under the brand Pilot and spent $60 on it, would I be happy with it? Would I be more happy with it than I am as it's a Kaco? Probably not. I think that some of the issues are still going to be issues regardless. So if we're talking pros and cons of this pen, the first con of this pen is the price. It is just a little bit on the pricey side for what you get, knowing that it is a mass-produced Chinese item. But it is a nice pen and it writes well and it does the job. So can we really complain about paying a few extra dollars for a pen that actually is fairly decent? Well, I don't know. Other little issues with this pen: the size, it is slightly on the small side, but not so small that it's not usable. The narrow section, the metal section, yeah, that is really unfortunate. It is just too small it's just a little bit too small for my hands, and because it does taper so much and it is made of sort of slippery metal, you do feel that it's very slippery when you write with it. Unlike, say, the Lamy Studio, where the grip's just a little bit bulkier and you can sort of relax your hand around it so that you don't slip down the grip, this one you sort of have to pinch it a little bit and you do slip. The other issue I have with this pen is I don't think that the cap band is necessarily, or the center band there, is necessarily the most attractive element of this pen. I think if you're dealing with, we're looking at a little band there that sort of stands out, it ruins the line of the pen for my sake. I think had it been more seamless, we would have had more aesthetic sort of unity with the pen, if that makes sense. It sort of feels like it's just a little bit out of place, and I know that the chrome ties in with a few of the elements, but then I think this brushed steel element here on the end is actually one of the most attractive elements of the design of the pen. So had that been incorporated elsewhere, then I think we would have had a pen that is actually sort of quite attractive. Okay, so the pros of this pen, well, there's a lot. Firstly, it writes really well. The nib is great. It's smooth, it's wet, it's reliable. I've never had a problem with how this pen writes at all. Great. The brushed metal finish here, this sort of the grey here, I really, really like that too. I think that's a really nice design element and a sort of a texture that actually makes this pen really nice in the hand. And then I said, the pen is reliable, it writes every time, and it is quite well balanced. Oh, another little con I just had to mention is sometimes, depending on how you write, you can ease the cap off the pen just with your writing in the posting. So it does post quite securely and it's not going to fall off, but you can easily work it off with your hand in writing. But the balance of the pen is really nice. It's a nice weight, it's a nice sort of size or length in your hand in that way. So lots to like about this pen. A few things that, sometimes also you get a bit of ink in the cap. Because I think this click is quite secure. It does that sort of suction thing where you get a little bit of ink popping up, and then of course if you post the pen, you're going to get ink on the cap there, on the end cap there as well. Just things to think about. But I really like the pen. Do I like it at this price point? That is one of my questions about this pen. But for the most part, this is a nice pen, a nice addition to the Kaco lineup, and much better than, in my opinion alone, much better than the Kaco Edge. But also at a much, much higher price point, so I think you get more what you pay for with this pen than you do with the Edge. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can message me there or on my email or on any of the videos here. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, let me know. Or if there's a way you'd like to support this channel, get in touch and let's see what we can do. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy your writing, and I'll talk to you later.